Welcome back into Hawks Huddle here. I believe it's episode 8. Jaclyn and I back on the mics here. A lot to talk about. Happy New Year to everybody out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
2021. Yeah, Jaclyn, how have you been? I'm enjoying this break that Laurier has given us, the extended week off, and especially with everything going on, all these sports. I'm loving it right now. How are you, Jaclyn?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been great. Yeah, nice long break. Because I think, yeah, last year at this time we already started class. I
We
remember
were
going back.
starting up.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember going back up beginning of January. So it's nice. We don't start, I guess, until next Monday, which is after wild card weekend. So I'm happy
Oh,
we don't have to worry about class this weekend. So it's been fun. Break's been, not as exciting as I think we were all hoping
mhm,
for due to COVID, but hopefully,
right.
winter break 2021 will be better and we can have a good time and watch some more football.
Yeah, we're all locked down here. We're all back into quarantine. So I mean, what else would we be doing, Jaclyn? Right? Of course, we
Yeah.
love seeing all this football, all the sports going on too. Let's start today off. Talk about the World Juniors because tonight, big game, the gold medal game between Canada and America. You still got that Canada jersey up
Yep.
there. They
Supporting
have
them.
been they have been dominant. The Canadians out there in the World Juniors in this tournament so far, and we talked about Devin Levi last
Mhm.
week, and oh my goodness, he had put together an insane week, tying the record last
Right.
night. Another
Right.
shutout.
So I was reading this. So so against Russia, he made 27 saves in a shutout. He also has still not played a game for Northeastern University yet, and he wasn't in the mix with Canada this offseason. And now he started every
Wow.
game for Canada. So he hasn't played with any of these guys. A lot of these guys have actually already played in the NHL or they've been playing in the,
Yeah.
you know, OHL. They're big names, first round picks. He hasn't. He wasn't invited to the offseason camp. He made his way to, I mean, for the virtual camp. He was able to
Right.
make his way to the in-person camp, and he has as many shutouts as goals allowed. So
That
this is
is
just
incredible. What a stat. I mean, it's truly remarkable. And I think I love how you keep hammering that point down about the proven players on this Canadian team and even some of these other teams on America. There's a lot of first round picks. Alex Turcotte and Cole Caulfield is a Montreal Canadiens first round pick a couple years ago,
mhm.
who I'm really excited for. But the amount of players and the big talk before coming into World Juniors was if Lafreniere, your new prized
My
possession,
Rangers, yeah,
it was
right
going to
here.
play. Exactly. And that was one of the bigger talks going into this World Juniors if he was going to strap up for Canada and play again. Because I believe his World Juniors got cut short last year, right? Wasn't he? Didn't he get hurt? It might have been
I don't even
last year or
remember.
the year before that. Yeah. But that was the big talk. That's the first overall pick. We're
Hmm.
talking about a seventh round goalie who has, as you said, only allowed what four
Three
goals.
goals, three.
Right. And Canada, I mean, I think their goal differential, another crazy stat throughout this whole tournament, I think they're like plus 37 or plus
Yeah,
36. Of
like
course,
like
the 16-2 win motivates that, but
like this
holy,
this team is stacked. Their defense is the best I think that we've ever seen in World Juniors, probably ever. So for sure Levi has a great team, but what makes a good goalie is that even though you have this great team, stopping those pucks that do come, because a lot of times with a stacked team, you think, okay, they can handle it, I'm fine. So you're not always so prepared for the pucks to start coming because of this great team, but he's stopping every goal that he's seeing. I believe the only goals that were allowed were like wonky shots off of a player's stick or off of a player's skate. So he's really been perfect. And is he good enough to be the MVP of this tournament?
I I think so. I mean, I know there's so many players on Canada that could
So
be.
good.
We talked about the high end talent. Dylan Cousins and Cole Perfetti, like first round draft picks, right? Top 10 draft picks even. But this guy, I think he really deserves it. I think Levi deserves it. We might be talking to Levi come, maybe we hope to at least after this tournament. But I really think he does deserve it because, like you're saying, it's the stops that he's making too. He's made some really good stops throughout the tournament, and those two of those three goals were allowed in the first game of the tournament when they beat Germany 16-2. I
Mhm.
don't know what the score was when he allowed those two goals, but those are kind of irrelevant goals, right?
Right.
He's pitched three shutouts. He's tied the record for all the Canadian goalies who have played in the World Juniors. He might even get that record tonight. I don't want to jinx him or
I
anything,
know.
but he's on a roll. He
Yeah.
is on an absolute.
Yeah,
You
and it's
would you not would you say he could get the MVP as well? I mean,
I would, yeah, if he plays the way he's been playing tonight, then I would say MVP. And he's also just a very different kid than most of these other guys,
yeah,
because these guys don't really know him as well. Because I remember reading somewhere where most of these guys had no idea who he was. So I believe
yeah,
he deleted all I believe that he deleted all of his social media for the tournament. And then you'll even see walking into the arena, a lot of guys are waving. Devin is just
yeah.
looking straight, head down, headphones on. There's no, like, he is all focus. And I don't think, like, none of these other guys are like that at all either. So I think he's just an interesting kid.
Completely.
Also, just being a seventh rounder, it's, you just would not expect him to be starting goalie. And I believe tonight, USA, their goalie Spencer Knight is also a Panthers prospect. I believe
I
he was
believe
drafted
so.
in the first round. So this is really going to
Yeah.
be interesting, because they're almost, this could be a battle for Panthers goalie.
Yeah, I mean, it really could. It's super interesting, and I don't even think the Panthers, when they took him in the seventh round, were expecting him to be, playing for Canada and playing
No.
this well, right? And so they kind of luck out there. It'll be super interesting. I think that's a really good matchup to watch tonight. The two goaltenders,
Hmm.
Spencer Knight, and of course Levi. And with all the other talent, that's what we keep saying. With all the other talent on that ice, it is remarkable that Levi is really dominating the stories. You go on TSN or you throw on Sports Center, you're gonna hear about Levi. He is really dominating the news cycle right now. So amazing to see. We wish them the best of luck, of course, tonight.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like we said, this is the time of the
Yeah.
year where it's the World Juniors. Everybody's watching. Hopefully, Canada's able to go back to back and get that win over America tonight. Where
Hopefully.
did we want to sort of transition to here, Jack? And I know there's an obvious topic that we can talk about. Oh my goodness, the Giants, their whole situation this week. But before we get into that, I do want to just quickly recap the two bowl games of
Hmm.
college football that happened on Friday. It wasn't the greatest of New Year's or the start of the new year for me. I was hoping that my new prospect, my new quarterback, assuming that it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. I was hoping that he would get the win and play well. Clemson, they put together maybe one of the worst games they've had in years.
Oh
And
yeah.
Justin Fields on the other side of the ball, he put
Justin,
together maybe the best game
gosh.
of his life.
He threw 6 touchdowns, almost 400 yards. He went 22 for 28, and all while injured. Like, I don't know if you remember, he
For the
got
same, oh yes,
crushed. He
yeah.
got crushed in that game, and he was
What
in
a
so
hit.
much pain. Yeah, I don't think he should have been kicked out of the game
No.
though with that hit, but he got crushed, Fields, and I thought he was out because he was in
Yeah.
so much pain. Like, if you saw him on
Well,
the sideline, he was, yeah,
yeah. You
he
would
was in a
see
lot
him
of
like
pain.
I'm sure obviously you saw him try to get on the stationary bike and
Yeah.
he was just wincing in pain. Like he was in pain. It
Hmm.
was legitimate. And that is really big for him too, because it shows you in the draft process, there's a lot of things that GMs are looking for, right? And what that shows is the toughness that Justin Fields was displaying. He stays in that game. He had the same amount of touchdowns as he did in completions. I mean, that's crazy.
That's all.
And
Yeah.
six touchdowns against Clemson, scoring almost 50 points. Wow. I mean, does I don't know. I mean, if I were the Jaguars GM, I would still be taking Trevor Lawrence. It's
Yeah.
just one game, right? There's so much body of work over the past couple of years where Lawrence is the better quarterback than Fields. So I don't think the Jags
Hmm.
should be overreacting, but it gives them something to think about.
It does, and but I guess the Jets will probably be taking him, right, with the second pick, if unless the Jaguars take him. I don't. I like. I just don't see them
The
not taking Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, and the only other thing, and because there's just so much going on in the football world, college and NFL, the Jags also fired their coach,
Hmm.
Doug Marone, and there's been a lot of rumors about us hiring the former Ohio State coach, Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer, yeah.
That continues to fuel the Fields because wouldn't he take his guy from Ohio State?
Oh yeah, I think so, but I don't know. Like, cause how
I
you can't pass up on Trevor Lawrence just because
no,
of what we've
no,
seen, but some guys just don't react well in the NFL. Like we've seen that with Ryan Leaf from
right.
2002, even Johnny Manziel. So or even well, I'm not gonna speak so soon, but Haskins, like as of now,
Oh yeah,
I'm not gonna speak so soon, but we've never seen a Lawrence. So I do think that Lawrence is a once in a lifetime talent. Justin Fields, I feel like I've seen Justin Fields in the league. Um,
yeah.
so I just don't see the Jaguars drafting him. But if Urban is your coach, then that for sure is going to be something to
It is.
think about.
It is. I thought I had Trevor Lawrence 2 weeks ago. I thought it was in the bag. I thought the Jags have him, and I still think that that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
But based off of that performance and based on us getting maybe hiring his former coach to what might be a $10 million, like a John
Hmm.
Gruden type contract, he might want his guy there, right? And if he's getting that much money, he might have a lot of say on the roster as well. He's going to have a lot of say on the
Oh
roster.
yeah, for sure.
So it'll certainly be interesting. I'm with you 100%. I think we've seen Fields before. Lawrence is a can't miss I think that's what you called him last week. He's just a
Hmm.
can't miss prospect,
Yeah.
and you got to take Trevor Lawrence. I think so. It'll be interesting to see. And as you mentioned, Haskins there. That's the guy who you would really relate to because Ohio State quarterbacks haven't had the greatest of success in the
No,
NFL. Haskins is the latest of that example.
as
So
of now, yeah.
it'll be interesting. And that whole Jets pick, that's something that we'll talk about. There's still 4 or 5 months away from the
Hmm.
draft. So there's a lot of conversations about the draft still happening. But what will the Jets do? Are they going to keep Darnold? Are they going to trade Fields? It'll be interesting for
Yeah.
sure. Jaclyn, it wasn't a good new year for you
Oh,
either. I don't even know what to say. I was telling you off air. I'm a neutral. I was a neutral, completely neutral fan. I mean, I like the Jags. They're in the AFC. I really couldn't care less who wins in the NFC. I just want to see good football. I just want to see a good game. I'd love to see it. I was watching the Sunday night football game that had so much implications, Philadelphia and Washington, and I was getting enraged. I was getting upset. I was so upset. Try to. I know. I don't even know how you're going to get the words, but try to explain what your thoughts were from that debacle on Sunday night.
all right. I need to like take a deep breath because like so you see I'm repping my Giant shirt
I still like
always.
that.
But okay, so first of all, Giants beat Dallas on Sunday, meaning that if Philadelphia wins, then the New York Giants are in the playoffs. And I guess we would play Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
So I'm going full diehard Philly.
for the
Um,
first time ever.
for the first time ever. Like I even cheered for the Patriots when the Patriots played Philly a couple years ago because I just hate Philly. But
Yeah,
I was cheering for Philly. I like Jalen Hurts too. I really like him. So it wasn't hard to cheer
me too.
for them. Yeah, like he's a fun guy to watch. You always want to cheer for him. Um and the
Unless
Eagles
you're his
lose.
coach.
And the Eagles lose 20-14. And listen, if they lost just, miss field goal or Jalen throws a pick six to end the game, fine. But oh my god, I'm gonna be so angry talking about
Oh
this.
my god.
They bench Jalen Hurts going into the fourth quarter, and so listen,
Oh,
If Jalen Hurts is, let's say, Tom Brady, you know what Tom can do. This game is meaningless. You bench him,
yep.
but Jalen Hurts is a rookie who barely started any games this season. He was a late addition to the starting roster, and you take him out in primetime football too. And for what?
One of the biggest games of the year.
And
It,
for what? A good draft pick?
I that's seemingly that is exactly what it was. Like the game was 17-14. Like, have you ever seen, no matter rookie and I understand your point on Brady too, like, and if you have nothing to play for, yeah,
Hmm.
bench him. But why are you benching your starting quarterback in a 3 point game? And to be honest with you, the game should have been tied because Coach Pederson
Yeah.
also went for it on fourth and goal, which is beyond me. Okay, I'm sitting there watching the game, just trying to think logically, like why, like, does this make any sense? Is there any reason for why he would be putting in Sudfield. Is there any reason for why he'd be going for it on 4th and goal when you could just easily tie the game? And there is no reason other than he wanted to lose. The coach wanted to lose. And it's embarrassing for the season to come down to that. We're gonna get into all the fallout of it because Miles Sanders had some things to say, Joe Judge had some things to say, and the
Mhm.
fans certainly voiced their mind as well.
And it's just
But
like I don't know if you saw on the bench, but th- the players lost so much respect for I think the entire NFL. I think I don't this word's a big word, but I think Doug Pederson is a disgrace to the
yeah,
NFL because we have never seen this. We've never seen a coach purposely take because you don't. I think JJ Watts said it best last week that you play to win. You don't just play for yourself, you play for your fans. You play because it's a sport that you
yes,
love. You play to win. And to purposely lose that game, when I believe this was also Zach Ertz's last game as an Eagle, and I believe he
yeah,
shed a few tears after the game because he knew it. You don't end your season like that. I've never seen this
you don't.
in all of my
And the
years of
only
football.
and the only other thing on the broadcast, they were saying, you know, Peterson wanted to experiment. He wanted to see what he had in Sudfield. And to your point, it makes absolutely no sense because you don't want to see what you have in Jalen Hurts, who was your
Jalen
second round
Hurts.
draft pick, who it's not like you've seen a lot of him. He got
No.
put in what, week 14 against Green
Yeah.
Bay?
Right.
Like, I
Right. You
understand you're not playing for anything, but what are we there's nothing to experiment. And Sudfield, I knew the minute he came in, like, you are blowing the game purposely. And that wasn't a part of his game plan either, because his coaches were completely off guard. As you just mentioned, his players completely caught off guard.
yeah.
So I agree with you completely. Doug Peterson is a disgrace for what happened there. I think Joe Judge's press conference. I don't know if you saw it. I actually saw it off of
Mhm.
License Plate Guy. He
Yeah.
posted it on Instagram. He's saying, all the sacrifices that teams have made this year, and for the NFL to go through 17 weeks is actually remarkable. Being without there being a bubble, all the sacrifices, and essentially embarrass the NFL on the last night in prime time
Prime yeah.
by actively trying to lose,
For
making
a
decisions,
six
trying to
pick.
lose.
For a six pick. And yeah, and Joe Judge said this to disrespect the game by going out there and not competing for 60 minutes to doing everything you can to help those players win. We will never do that as long as I'm the head coach of the New York Giants. And and what player wants to have a coach like that? I think the Eagles should be firing him after this season, and I don't think a football team should ever hire him. I don't care if you're the NFL, if you're college football, or if you're high school football. I don't want to see him coaching again because that is not football. It's not.
Yeah. No, 100%, and I like how you're saying that. I was thinking the exact same thing, and like I said, you're a Giants fan. You should be pissed, right? For lack of a better word, there, you
Yeah.
should be upset,
And it's
right?
like
But
I'm not so upset that we're not in. Like it sucks, I would have been fun, but we weren't good enough to be in the playoffs. So it's not like we're this great team that, like the Dolphins were actually a really good team that just didn't get in. But the Giants just weren't. But it's just the way that it happened is it's a punch in the face to watch that. And
it is.
it just it made you upset and you're not even a Giants fan. So it's just that's not the game of football. And I know they can't find him because you can't actually prove that he was tanking,
Yeah.
but they should make some sort of rule, right?
Yep. And they should. They definitely should. He should the Eagles, and maybe not the Eagles, because that's the whole thing. The players were playing to win.
Right.
But your coach is the one who blindsides you, and as a coach, that is the last thing you do as a coach. Is try not
Yeah.
to win. Are you kidding me? You're just
Yeah.
embarrassing the sport, as we've said. But the big, there should be a penalty. There won't be, as you said,
Mhm.
because you can't prove it.
Yeah.
The big thing is the whole tanking. And a lot of people got on the Jags and the Jets this year. The Jags benched Gardner Minshew and put
Mm.
in Glennon, who's not that good. Like, I understand maybe these teams were also not trying to win, but the Jags were in overtime games. The Jags kept it close. The Jets got a couple of wins. Like, we were playing well, and
Right.
even if we were tanking, the problem in this one is how egregious It was. Okay, we
Mhm.
started Glennon. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why if Peterson wanted to see what he had at a Sudfield, start him. You
Yeah.
should have started him. You don't take or the only way you want to see what you have at a Sudfield is if you're getting blown out or you're blowing them out. It's a
Right.
3-point game. Why on God? I don't know who it was who tweeted it, but why on God's green earth is Jalen Hurts not in the game?
Yeah, yeah. No, I do. I want to read some other players' tweets. Darius Slayton, who was a Giants wide receiver, tweeted, "You play the game to win, point blank. Period." JJ Watt said it best the other day. Outside of how it affects us, that this is just disrespectful to the game. And then Eli even
Oh
tweeted.
yes,
Eli just got Twitter like last year. I'm sure he doesn't even, he's not
hilarious.
a social media guy. He tweeted. So Saquon said, "Can someone make it make sense to me? What's going on? Dot dot dot." Eli said, "This is why we don't like the Eagles." So it's
Yes.
like every player just was shocked. They were shocked. And it's like, imagine being a New York Giant. You're getting ready to play next week, cuz I think the Eagles could have won, right?
Oh,
Like I do, like we
if
really could have, if they went for that field goal, they could have got that ball back. They could have scored a touchdown. So
well, listen,
it's so disrespectful.
it is, and they would have won the game. Is what I'm saying, because I really think they would have. Because if you really, and we're getting really into it, because I think we're both upset about it, and obviously you're a Giants fan, but Washington, after Sudfield was put in, Washington had thrown a pick, right?
Hmm.
That really nice interception by the Eagles when he bumped
Hmm.
into him and also caught the ball, and then they did they throw two picks after that, or maybe
I
they
think he
fumbled it
threw.
as well.
I think he threw one other pick. Yeah, I think he
Yeah,
threw. I think
and
Smith
the
threw one other pick.
Eagles with Sudfield, what did they do back? He throws it down the field and gets a pick, and then he can't catch a
Fumbles it.
snap and tries, and instead of falling on it,
Yeah,
tries to pick it up when Chase Young is chasing after him. So
there was
after the two
just.
turnovers, the Eagles don't get any points. Jalen Hurts, I know he was kind of struggling a little bit on the night. He
Mhm.
was he wasn't playing like Sudfield.
He was
Sudfield
getting
was
hot.
awful.
He was starting to get hot, and then he takes him out. And like I'm pretty sure Jalen even mouthed the words. I could be wrong. I
He
think someone
did.
posted saying like, "This isn't right."
He did. He did. And
So.
he definitely did mouth those words. It was pretty clear. Like you could lip read that pretty
Mhm.
easily. That's what he said. And that's what I mean. It was not part of the game plan. You're not experimenting. You're flat out embarrassing the league, like we've talked about, and
Right.
you're playing to lose.
Right. Like, I'm
And
not mad
no,
at Philly. I'm not mad. I'm mad at your players. I'm a fan of your players. I can see that they're hurt. The only person I'm mad at is Doug Pederson.
yeah, yeah, completely. And you touched on it a little bit already. Everybody who's saying, you know what, the Giants, you guys should have won more than 6 games.
Yeah,
You
for
agree
sure.
with that, of course.
100%.
Like you said, of course you should have. But that's not the conversation. The conversation is how it happened
Yeah.
and what went on game 256, the last game of the year that everybody's watching and that has serious implications to two teams. And think about if it was the Cowboys too in there. This would even be a little bit bigger. And I'm not
Mm.
saying like it's the Giants. Who cares? Like I'm pissed. I'm
Mhm.
upset. But if it was the Cowboys too, like they have such a following base too. The conspiracies over Philly, being investigated or penalized would even be further, right? I'm sure
100%.
Jerry Jones would have something to
Yeah,
say.
of
That's the good thing
course.
with the Maras who own the
Hmm.
Giants, right? They're
Yeah.
pretty not outspoken. They don't say too much. Jerry
Hmm.
Jones would probably have a word if that would happen to him, right? So the whole situation though, ridiculous. I keep thinking to myself, how in the heck did this guy win a Super Bowl? Doug
Yeah.
Peterson.
And like, it's
I don't
just,
understand.
it's this, like, I want to leave it, I guess, on this, but it's just, this is a game that people, watch every single day. I dedicate my life to football. I spend my time doing a sports podcast to talk about football. I have football things. Football is my all-time, like, my room is covered in football stuff. Like,
Yeah,
all, like, if I want to go on vacation, it's, I want to go see a football game. Everything is football for me. And to
yeah,
see this, to watch what I saw was not the game that I love. It's not the game that I care about so much. It's not the game that I spend hours and hours and hours every week watching instead of, I don't know, doing homework. Um
yeah.
it's this game that people love for so many reasons. It's a community. It's you watch with your family. It's such a great thing, football, but it's because of the sport. It's such a great competitive sport, and there's no sport like football. And to watch
Yep.
that happen on primetime football, and also if you're an Eagles fan and you're watching with your family, and you see that happen, that's not the game that we all love.
No, no, no. And the Eagles fans were rightfully upset as well. And the Eagles fans obviously don't care about the Giants,
Yeah.
but they were upset that their coach just threw their whole 53-man roster under the bus. The 53-man roster that's trying to win a game. Well, now we're putting in a guy who hasn't thrown a pass in 4 years. So, I mean, I think that's a good way, kind of to cap it off here. We can sit here and call for Doug Peterson's head and talk about it for another hour, 2 hours. Like I said to you earlier, I'm sorry to you because as I said, if I was a Giants fan, wow, just ridiculous. We'll move on here. A lot, like I said, a lot happening in the NFL. The Giants did beat the Cowboys, so they finished with a 6-10 record. Washington gets that division at a 7-9 record. Washington's going to have Tom Brady and the Bucks this week, as you said a little bit earlier. We're going to pick the wild card games a little bit later. The first time we have 6 games on wild card weekend, so that's fun. But let's do a little bit let's talk about the Hall of Fame. We are going to get into our awards. We'll give
Hmm.
out some regular season awards. But I did just want to quickly mention the 15 finalists were just announced about an hour ago in the Hall of Fame, and it's pretty cool, at least for me, and I'm sure for you as well, Jaclyn. Just kind of seeing the names now. Because when I started watching football, I didn't know really a lot of the guys who were going into the Hall of Fame. Now that I've been watching football for so long, it's really cool to see who's on the list. And Peyton Manning kind of headlines that list. Calvin Johnson, the
Hmm.
best receiver I've ever seen play. Reggie Wayne is also on there. Clay
Charles
Matthews. I was
Woodson,
actually, yeah,
Clay
Charles Woodson.
Matthews. Oh, this
Yeah,
is
it was.
Clay Matthews from the 70s
What is it? Is it Clay Matthews? Because
from
I was.
Cleveland.
Oh, okay, yeah, his father.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
because
know.
I was
I was
pretty
also
shocked to
confused.
see Clay Matthews on there. Okay, yeah, his father, who was an amazing player as well.
Right.
Jared Allen also
Jared
on there.
Allen, Barber. Yeah,
Yeah,
these are names that I know. Like I don't know if I really
yeah,
saw too much from most of these guys, but Peyton, of course, I knew.
of course.
I
Yeah,
remember watching Super Bowl 50 was I was
yeah,
really cheering for the Broncos because I really wanted to see Manning win. I guess it
same.
was his second ring.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I for sure have Manning memories, and then
Do you remember
Reggie
much?
Wayne.
Do you remember much of Megatron, like Calvin
Yeah,
Johnson?
Megatron,
Yeah,
I for sure remember a lot.
just a monster,
For sure,
monster.
Megatron. I remember I saw more like in later in his
Yeah,
career, so not prime Megatron, but he for sure. I would probably call him at least top five wide receivers of all time. And I know
yeah.
there's many talks of DK Metcalf being Megatron. He's not
No,
Megatron yet. He could be.
no.
We can see how he
Yeah,
improves, but I don't know if we're ever
yeah,
going to see another Megatron.
yeah. Like it's yeah. My quick answer to that is no, nowhere near yet. But DK does have the tangibles. Like he has the
Hmm.
size, he has the speed. We've seen his speed. He has the intangibles, but Calvin Johnson was another level.
Yeah.
Stafford made a living of just throwing the ball up, and Calvin Johnson would come down with it. Triple coverage, double coverage, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So crazy. I also did want to shout out Tony Baselli. He used to be a Jaguars tackle. I think we are the only team in the NFL who doesn't have a Hall of Famer yet.
No
Still,
way.
so I'm hoping he
Wow.
finally gets in. He's been a finalist, I think, for the past 3-4 years. So let's get a
Mm.
Jag in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, that for
Um,
sure.
yeah, so it'll be super interesting. They'll announce who does make it. Out of the list of 15 that was announced tonight, I think
Mm.
usually 6 or 7 actually make it, and that gets announced the day before the Super Bowl at the NFL Honors,
Hmm.
which will be also awarding all of the regular season awards on NFL Honors the night before the Super Bowl. So as the regular season has come to an end, Jaclyn, let's do a little bit of our regular season awards here. Let's start. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start at Coach of the Year? Do you want to start with that one?
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. Let's start
Yeah.
with coach. Um, yeah. So I guess I have two. I have Stefanski. uh,
Mhm.
Cleveland, and then McDermott, Bills. I think those two coaches really turned around the both franchises. Browns making it for the first time since 2002.
Yep.
And then the Bills winning the AFC and winning their division first time since 1995. Um, yeah, I just don't see who else. I know we talked about Mike Tomlin early on and Andy Reid, but the Steelers kind of went a little bit downhill, a
Yeah.
little bit, and then Andy Reid could win it, but I just don't think the Chiefs are as good as they were last year. So I
Yep.
really think that it should be a team that turned around a franchise, and I think both these coaches did.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And which we talked about. You seemed like you were right about the Steelers. You were telling me all year they're overrated. 1-4 down the stretch. So we'll see how they play this weekend. I agree with you on McDermott. McDermott would be one of my picks as well. And then another guy who he might not have turned the team around, but he's just done so well in his 2 years there with them. And I don't think he gets enough respect. Matt LaFleur with the Green Bay
Mm-hmm.
Packers.
Yeah.
Just so much talk about him and Rogers not being able to get together when he was first hired, like be on the same page. And then they go out and draft a quarterback in the first round this year. People
Mm-hmm.
are
Mm-hmm.
wondering, what's Rogers going to be like? What's his future? And they go out and they looked like probably the best team in the NFC by far is what I would say. I know,
Yeah.
like I said, we'll get into picks and stuff like that later, but I really like what the Packers have done. The
Mm-hmm.
offense is amazing. Rogers looks like he's the MVP. Talk about MVP.
Mm-hmm.
But I would probably give it to LaFleur as of right now. 13 and
Okay.
3. McDermott as well. He's also 13 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think those are the two options. You're right on McDermott there, and Stefanski for sure as well. I mean, you haven't made the playoffs in 18 years. For them to get there without Odell Beckham, Kareem Hunt was
Mm-hmm.
also hurt a little bit this year. Nick Chubb was
Mm-hmm.
also hurt a little bit this year. He deserves some credit as well. So
Right, right. Okay. I guess let's move on to maybe comeback player of the year.
yeah,
I
is
think we
this
can
no brainer, right?
here, let's here. Three, two, one. Alex Smith.
Alex, of
Okay.
course, Alex Smith. Yes, yes. No, no, yeah. You're Alex Smith, really? No, I'm kidding. Of course, Alex Smith.
I
It
just
has to
like
be Alex Smith.
yeah, like I'm actually honestly kind of I'm cheering for Washington. I know that they're in my division, but I really like Alex Smith. This man I remember we talked about it a few weeks ago. He almost died. He almost lost his leg and then he almost died. And then he
Yeah.
decides, "Hey, I'm going to go back and play football." Um we've never seen a
I
story
I
like this.
I fear for him so much. Every time he
Me
drops
too.
back, like I'm so scared.
I
Like
know, me too.
it is just crazy. 17 surgeries on that one, or even more than that. I just remember on the broadcast they were saying 17.
Mhm.
But a whole lot of surgeries, almost lost his life. I think this award, and I think we said it maybe in one of our first podcasts. I think this award was wrapped up the minute he stepped onto the field.
Mhm.
A lot of people actually said this award was wrapped up the minute he made the roster back
Mhm.
in September, right?
Yeah.
And I completely agree because to come back from that is remarkable. And now to have his team in the playoffs, I agree. I'd cheer for Washington as well.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
you're cheering for your division opponents a lot though, but
I know it's weird. No, but like, yeah, but for
but
sure,
of course, and with
it would just be a cool story,
yeah, with Rivera too. All
On
he's gone
Rivera,
through with
cancer
cancer.
treatments, yep, and then having Haskins as your starter, and then
Yep.
waiving him, and then having to start a fourth string at one point. It's just
Yeah.
it's
And
yeah.
and think about this. If they beat Tom Brady. Oh my
Oh my
goodness, right? Like
gosh, Chase
I'm cheering for
Young,
Washington too,
yeah,
for sure. Because
awesome.
imagine that, right? Washington and Alex Smith beats Tom Brady in the Bucks first round. No one's really expecting that, but hey, I hope it happens. Let's go to the rookies. Okay, a lot of good rookies this year. Ton of good
Yeah.
rookies. I think offensive rookie of the year is a little bit tougher to decide.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive, not as much. So
Mm-hmm.
defensive rookie of the year, you got Chase Young
I got
or
Chase Young. Yeah, yeah. He leads all rookies with 5.5 sacks and is the only NFL player this season with at least 5 sacks, three forced fumbles, and a defensive touchdown. He's a beast. He's coming for Brady next weekend. Yeah, I just
did
don't see who else. Jeremy Chin could be in the conversation maybe,
yeah.
but just Chase Young is just such a beast, and I think he's gonna be a real threat to the NFL in the years coming.
He is. He definitely is. I know, like, again, they said on the broadcast that the Washington defensive coordinator, former Jags coach, he reminds or Chase Young reminds him of Ray Lewis which
Mm,
is a crazy, crazy comparison. We know how good Ray Lewis is. But again, Chase Young, a player who has all of the skills. He's got the speed, he's got the power, he's got the size, and he's got the motor. He plays with a ton of effort, and he wants Tom Brady. I don't know if you saw the video of him
yeah.
saying, I want to play Tom. We want you, Tom. So hey, Bruce Arians fired back and said, better be careful what you wish for. But I love it. I love it. It's the playoffs. Ramp it up, and he is for sure the defensive rookie of the year this year. You're right on Chin. He's the only other guy that might get some consideration.
Mhm.
For offensive rookie of the year, though, I think there's two guys who are gonna fight it out here, and it's Jefferson and Herbert, right?
That's what
Of
I got
course.
too. Yep,
Who
I. Mhm.
It's hard. It's really hard. Who would you give, like, if you were a voter, who would you give your vote to?
I'd probably give it to Herbert just
Yeah,
because. So he's thrown 31 touchdowns this season, breaking Mayfield's 27 record in his rookie season. He's thrown over 4,200 yards, second all time by a rookie. He has become the youngest quarterback in NFL history to throw 30 touchdown passes in a single season. 412 completions, most all time by a rookie. 10 games with two or more touchdown passes, but most all time by a rookie. There's so many more records that he's broken.
yeah,
He's playing for a really bad team. I know the Chargers just fired their head coach. Um, I just I yeah I think Herbert should, but Justin Jefferson as well. Most yards in NFL history for a rookie wide receiver with 1,400 yards this season. And I remember he broke Randy Moss's record as well. So
yeah,
he for
yeah.
sure is in the conversation. But I do think I'm gonna give it to Justin Herbert. But it will be the battle of the Justins.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, you are right there. For sure, those are the two guys. There was some talk about Tua being in the MVP
Mm-hmm.
conversation. That kind of, I think, completely has gone away considering his play in the past couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's tough. It's tough not to give it to Herbert because we really haven't seen a rookie quarterback come in and do that. Like, these are all, you just listed all of the records
Yeah.
broken, right? Like, no one has done it better than him in his first season. And if he played for a better team, I think for sure this would be his award. It's tough. Like, Jefferson's been so good. He's been a baller throughout the
Right.
whole year
And with
with
that,
Minnesota.
with Minnesota also replacing Diggs, so that's not an easy thing
Yeah,
to do. And Diggs is also having a career season,
yeah,
but really him being able to shine even with Thielen on that team, Dalvin Cook, like there's a lot of offensive players, but Jefferson has really been able to shine. So it's gonna be tough, honestly.
it'll be tough. I do agree. As though I would say give it to Herbert just
Hmm.
because, yeah, he's putting up some crazy numbers. Justin Jefferson, though, he's done a lot. Those are the only two rookies I think who got voted to the Pro Bowl. Or I
Hmm.
think Chase Young did as well.
Hmm.
Only three rookies got voted to the Pro
Hmm.
Bowl. So they are for sure the best. Let's go to Defensive Player of the Year. It'd be definitely an interesting one.
Hmm.
Certainly a lot of names, a lot of interesting names that people are throwing around too. Corners, defensive
Hmm.
ends. Who do you think?
I got two. I got Aaron Donald and TJ Watt, but I'm gonna give it to TJ Watt. He finished with 15 sacks this season. Aaron finished with 13.5 sacks. TJ also did it with, I believe, less than 100. He did this with about 100 fewer pass rush snaps. So he was really able to. I think TJ should have, won this award last year, or he should have won some sort of
Yeah.
big award that I remember he was snubbed for. I think TJ Watt deserves this out of any player, but there are a lot of really good, corners as well.
Yeah, and that's who I was gonna mention. I mean, a lot of talk about Xavier Howard, the corner on the
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins. He had the first double.
10 interceptions,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, first time since I believe 2007 that a corner's had 10 picks
Mm-hmm.
in a season. So that's obviously a great season for him. But you're right with those two pass rushers. Aaron Donald, he's won this award I think two times already,
Mm-hmm.
and TJ Watt never has. So just for that reason, I'll give it to TJ Watt. I do still think Aaron Donald is the best defensive player in the NFL. But not always does the best player win. I think TJ Watt had the best season come
Mm-hmm.
from a defensive player. So I would agree with you on that. TJ Watt, offensive player of the year, also super interesting. I want to hear where you're going on this. I will say Derrick Henry. Okay, a lot of
Derek.
people though are saying a couple of different
See,
names.
because it's interesting because we don't put MVP and Offensive Player of the Year in the same category, which I find kind of weird sometimes because they, yes, are
Yeah,
different. Derrick Henry's actually in my MVP list of potential picks. So my offensive player of the year is Dalvin Cook or
Okay.
Devontae Adams, which is an
Yes,
awesome
Adams
interesting
has a
one.
lot of talk. Yeah.
He's had one of the greatest seasons by a receiver in Packers history. Despite missing 2 games with an injury, he's also just been battling injuries
Yes.
all season. He scored 18 touchdowns and over 1,300 receiving yards in only 14 games. But then again, there's
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook, who has really, I guess, carried this Vikings team.
Mm-hmm.
He rushed over 1,500 yards, scored 16 touchdowns in, I guess, only 16 games or
Yeah.
16 or 15 games. I think it could. I don't know if I have a pick for for offensive player of the year. I think it could really go to these two, or even Derrick Henry. I don't know if, or unless if he's a finalist for MVP. I don't really know how that works.
Right, right. And I think that's why I think your point at the beginning there is really good. Like it's kind of like MVP and Offensive Player of the Year. Like maybe you should just group them together because the MVP always goes to usually the best quarterback or the best offensive player
Right.
that season, right? So it is super interesting where it would go to. Devontae Adams, like that's crazy what he did this year. You just listed it off, like 18 touchdowns, third most in NFL history by a receiver in a season, and he missed 2 games.
Yeah,
So
and he's been injured
that's
the entire
crazy.
season too, like battling a lot of injuries. So yeah, so and then also Cook for sure carrying that
Yeah.
Vikings team.
Yeah, I think we said again in one of the earlier episodes, like Cook very well. He wouldn't win the MVP, but when you talk about most valuable to their team and what he does to the Vikings and how much he means to that team, like he very well could be one of the most valuable players in the league.
For
But
sure.
in terms of the award itself, most valuable player, I don't think this is debatable either, to be honest with you. I know people want to talk about Mahomes, but what I will say to you, this has to go to Aaron Rodgers. The
I
season he put
agree
together
with
this
you.
year. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
for
48
sure.
touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers this year. He led the league in completion percentage and touchdowns and touchdown to interception ratio. He didn't lead in passing yards, but I think he was top five.
Mhm.
Just remarkable. Obviously, 13-3 record. Just a remarkable season. He only really had one bad game, and that was the game against Brady.
Right. Yeah, like Rodgers has 51 total touchdowns. I guess as a whole,
Right.
Mahomes has 40 total touchdowns with 6 interceptions. Rodgers only has 5 interceptions. And then but also two other guys I would put in the
Yep.
conversation would be Derrick Henry and Josh Allen. Derrick
Mhm.
Henry, he rushed for over 2,000 yards, which is not an easy thing to do, which
No.
is just so amazing. And Derrick Henry is probably the best running back that we're going to be
Yeah.
seeing in the next couple of years. Hopefully, he stays healthy. And then there's
Mhm.
Josh Allen, 45 total touchdowns, throwing over 4,500 passing yards, only 10 interceptions, really leading this Bills team. It can go to any one of these guys, but I am gonna give it to Rodgers. I'm also just a big Rodgers fan in general. Um, yeah, I just think he's having the most valuable season. I think he's
Yeah.
super valuable to his team. They'd be nothing without him. And then putting Devontae Adams an offensive player of the year, he would not be able to do any of that without Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think
Exactly.
because I remember we talked about this. Remember I was telling you about we were talking about the goats, and I was saying Rodgers as the greatest because
Right. Yeah.
he's never had weapons. He's never had all these, like Rodgers has Adams, right? But Mahomes has the best tight end in the league, one of the best wide
Yeah.
receivers in the league, great coach, great O line. Rodgers also just lost his star offensive lineman to an ACL injury, I
Yes.
believe, and he was still able to play
Yep.
really well last week. Um, yeah, I just don't know how you don't give it to Rodgers, and he's also like old now. He's in his late 30s,
Yeah.
and playing this good. It's just I don't know how you give it to Mahomes over Rodgers or to any
No.
of these guys.
No, I wouldn't. I don't think Mahomes should be considered for this at all. He might, of course, be a nominee, like a finalist, like we've been saying, but I don't think he wins it. And Josh Allen, I think, deserves it more than Mahomes. To be honest with you,
Okay,
you
yeah, no,
just yeah, you just talked about Allen, but and then your point on Rodgers. I remember that go talk that we were having. Yeah, you said he's the greatest of all time. I don't know again if I would go that far, but your point was exemplified this year. Like what he's done with Robert Tunyon, that tight end. Like who knew who
hmm
Tunyon was?
yeah,
And he
right,
has the second most touchdowns by a tight end in the league outside of Adams. Rodgers throws to Valdez Scantling, who's not that much of a great receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers makes it work with him. And a few other names, they're not coming to me, but the Packers wide receiver corps is not, you know, that amazing, especially like when you compared it to Kansas City, who has the speedsters and
Yeah.
Kelsey and everything like that. So,
Yeah.
really good point. It's got to go to Aaron Rodgers, I
Mm-hmm.
think, there. But is there any kind of awards that we're missing? We could do best play too. I'll throw that out. I know it's kind of hard to recap a whole
Best
season of
play.
plays,
Yeah.
but I'm
Oh, and
just thinking of the
I was,
Cardinals Hail Mary,
I
right?
was gonna say that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just
yeah.
that's for
It's
sure one
hard
of.
to pick a different one. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any like huge plays. I'd
yeah,
probably say that one, the Fitzpatrick throw when
yeah,
his whole when it was a blind throw.
yeah.
That would also be
Getting,
in
yeah,
the conversation. But I do think the that Murray Hail Mary to
yeah,
DeAndre Hopkins just it's just we're never gonna forget that. But we're also I don't think we're ever gonna forget that Fitzpatrick throw just because of
yeah. No,
I don't like you've probably seen the photo where just like his whole face is turned around. He makes that throw, which is
Reds.
unbelievable. But both those plays for sure
Yep.
will are the
And then I'll,
best.
yeah, and it is, yeah, like I said, it is hard to sort of think back of all plays, but I would just also throw a shout out to Derrick Henry just mulling over people and stiff arming
Yeah,
everybody this year as well.
yeah,
So
just an
those were
absolute
obviously cool to see.
for sure. No, for sure. Derrick Henry is one of the
And he,
scariest running backs that we've seen ever.
so scary.
I don't
And like
think,
you said, the point it will be if he's able to stay healthy
yeah.
because he gets the ball so much too. Like it's
Mm-hmm,
ridiculous. And he had
mm-hmm.
253 yards to get to 2000
Right.
this past weekend. He's
No,
he's an animal.
and just the way that he's built, it's just none of these running backs are as big as Derrick Henry. And if I saw him running towards me, I don't know how these guys even attempt to tackle him because they know they're gonna get trucked by him because like he can even lead Tennessee to a Super Bowl. Who knows? Like that
Yeah.
would be amazing to see Henry lead his whole football team to a Super Bowl. But he for sure is a talent that we haven't seen in a long time.
No.
And I just know that the playoffs are going to be really, really exciting.
Yes,
And
they will. You bring up the playoffs, so let's end this episode here with our playoff picks. Like I said, first time in NFL history, they're calling it a double triple header. We got 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday. I cannot wait. So excited. Let's do it. Let's pick these
can't wait.
games here. So first up, Colts Bills, first home playoff game for Buffalo in 25 years. There's going to be 7,000 fans there, which it's going to be great to see. Hopefully everybody's safe, but it'll be great to see the fans there. They've waited a long time. I'm gonna go with the Bills. I've liked the Bills all year. I've tried to explain it to you how much I like the Bills. You've always been skeptical of them. I understand that. The Colts are a tough team though. Like the
Hmm.
Colts are really good on both sides of the ball.
For sure.
The biggest problem though is Philip Rivers and his interceptions later on in games. The only way I think the Colts win this is if they really get the running game going and
Hmm.
Jonathan Taylor has a really good game. I don't know. I think the Bills defense will do enough, and I can see the Bills winning that game. What do you got?
I have Bills as well. I actually have Bills going all the way. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I got them going all the way. We can for sure talk about that later on. It'll be a couple
yeah,
upsets will have to happen, but Bills for sure. Cleveland, Pittsburgh. Stefanski is not coaching, I guess, on
right.
Sunday, so that's a bit of a not so good for Cleveland to not have their head coach with them.
No, because he is also the play caller. So,
Mhm.
he's your head coach and your offensive play caller.
And it's your first
Is
playoff
a big
game, ever
yeah.
for most of these guys. I was gonna go with Pittsburgh anyways. I think they're just experienced. You have Ben Roethlisberger on your team going against this young Browns team, having being led by a guy in his early 20s with Mayfield. I think Pittsburgh just knows what they're doing. Mike Tomlin knows what he's doing. I think Pittsburgh, yeah, in this
Yeah.
one.
And again, that's been another sort of trend that we've talked about throughout this show, and throughout this podcast. Experience, right?
Hmm.
Baker's playing his first playoff game. Nick Chubb's playing his first playoff game. A lot of these guys are playing their first playoff game, and same with the coach. Like you said, he's not going to be on the sidelines, but it's going to be a battle for Cleveland. And I'm going to agree with you. I know Pittsburgh's been slumping down the stretch, but I think that they get the win this week. and head into the divisional round. Baltimore, Tennessee, the final AFC game,
Mm,
rematch of last year's divisional championship game. Between these two, Tennessee got the better of them last year. Lamar is looking for his first playoff win. I don't think he gets it, to be honest. We just
no, not
talked about
really.
Tennessee,
Yeah.
and I know this might be a little bit of an upset. Baltimore's home, or no, sorry, Tennessee is home, but I'm gonna go with Tennessee. Like Derrick Henry, the way he's playing, we just talked about it, and not only that, but because Derrick Henry's playing so good, the offense is able to get the play action rolling. Ryan Tannehill is running a lot on read options, faking it to Henry and running himself, escaping out,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really working. I know. I guess I watched this all against the Texans defense, which has
Mm-hmm.
been awful this year,
Yeah.
but I really do think the Titans will be able to win this game again against Baltimore.
Yeah, I think I picked Ravens. I was doing a bracket. I just Lamar's been really hot these past couple weeks.
Yes.
I know he had a
Yeah.
bad start, but ever since that Cleveland game,
Yep.
they've just been absolutely on fire. This is gonna be a tough one,
It's
honestly.
tough.
I
Yeah.
know I picked Baltimore. I'm gonna say Baltimore, I think. I think Lamar is just playing. I think he's on a roll right now. He wants to get that first win.
Yep.
This is so much to him. And I know, but it's so hard to pick against Derrick Henry. But I'm gonna say Ravens. I'm gonna go with the
Baltimore.
Ravens.
Fair.
Yeah.
It is. It's a tough one, and
It's a tough one.
it's a really good game too. Like I can't wait for that game. That's a good one. The first NFC matchup is Rams Seahawks. That's something we didn't mention really. The Rams and Cardinals. Their game this past weekend.
Mhm.
I don't know if Goff is going to be playing. There's still a chance he
Yeah.
could.
And
If
even
Goff,
if he does though,
yeah,
he's not healthy enough to
no,
play. So
no.
and
And
also I think that
he's gonna be on so many. If he does play, he's gonna be juiced up on all of these
right.
painkillers and drugs. Like that's the only way a guy who just had surgery on his thumb is playing a week after. But you're right. He's not gonna be the same. So I would pick Seahawks for sure.
I'm gonna
It
say
kind of
Seahawks.
seems like you're leaning the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. Seahawks for sure. I think Russell Wilson was in the MVP conversation a little bit ago, and then he kind of
Yeah.
escaped that conversation. But I do think, Russell in the playoffs is just always fun to watch. But the Rams also in the playoffs, they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. But I think I do like Seattle in this one.
Yeah.
Just it's also just more like they've been in the playoffs more. I know the Rams went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. The Seahawks kind of know, I think they're more comfortable in this
Oh yeah.
position because they're kind of always in the playoffs. So for sure, I like Seattle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 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 for sure. I mean, Russell, you're right. Russell hasn't been the same since you guys, the Giants beat him a few
Hmm.
weeks, several weeks ago. The next one up, Bucks and Washington. Wow, like I said, if Washington wins this game, it would be the upset of the year.
Yeah,
It'd be quite a story. I can't pick them though.
you
I just
can't.
can't. Tampa Bay is just like I want to. Trust me, I want to. I want to see Rivera win. I want to see Alex Smith win. We talked about it, but Tampa Bay is kind of rolling now. We talked about Brady this year, and he's
Yeah,
pretty hot too.
he's very
Um,
hot.
I think he's able to beat Washington.
I'm gonna say Washington is gonna pull an upset,
Wow.
pull off an upset. I'm gonna go Washington. This is a
Now
long shot.
would you, if you were putting money, you would
No,
put money on what? No.
don't no. Here, if you're gonna put money, I would probably say I'd if you were to put money on any of these games, I'd probably say Bills. Colts can always upset, but I think the only game I'm really confident about is probably Bills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then another one as we're both on, or I'm picking Tampa, you're picking Washington. I like the Washington pick. I hope it happens.
Hmm.
But another game that a lot of people think might be a blowout, and I don't see it at all, or not a blowout, but the Bears and the
Yeah,
Saints
yeah.
play, and I'm actually really intrigued by that matchup. I
Me
think the Bears
too.
match up really well with the Saints. Like the Saints, I'd be worried if I'm New Orleans actually with that defense against Drew Brees. The Bears have a good shot. It just matters. It's going to be on Mitch.
Yeah,
Mitch has
for
to play a
sure.
good game,
No, because
and
Chicago,
Tampa can.
they had a couple good weeks. I know they started off hot, then they kind of went downhill, but now they're kind of back in it, playing well. It will come down to their defense and Trubinsky, of course, and I know there's talks that Breeze. It's not official yet, but there's lots of talks going around in the league that this is gonna be Breeze last season. So
Mhm.
That might change some things though for that team, knowing that hey, this is my last season ever. This could potentially be my last game. I think they might have more heart, the Saints in this one, but it's also is Breeze healthy? Because I know we've seen him
Yeah.
play. I think he's still battling that injury. But they also have Taysom Hill and they have Kamara should be back because he was out with COVID last week. But Kamara, if Kamara has a good game, then I think the Saints could really win it. But if the Bears step up with that defense, then it could be an interesting matchup. But I think I'm gonna say Saints
You're gonna
still.
say Saints? Okay. I'm gonna go Bears. I'm gonna go
Okay.
Bears here. And if I was putting I might very well put money on this game, to be honest. I might very well
Really?
put money on the Bears. It's not that I'm confident. It's not that I'm really like confident that the Bears are gonna get it done.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I really think they match up well. And these two teams
Mm-hmm.
met earlier in the year, and I
Right.
actually forget who won that game, but it was super, super close. I remember it
Let me
being a really,
check.
really close game.
Yeah,
Um,
like
I,
because the Saints have kept it very close with a lot of mediocre teams this
yeah,
season. I remember with the Panthers, they lost or no, they won by 3 only. Um, they're not blowing out teams, I guess, except for that Vikings game. They had a really nice blowout with because
yeah,
Kamara scoring 100 touchdowns that game.
yep.
But with the Saints, it's just like they know how to win games though. That's
They
the
do.
thing. They can keep it close, but they do know how to win games. And I'm gonna try to find that game that they played
Yeah,
against
try
the
to find
Bears.
that score there. Another thing I wanted to bring up about the Saints, as you're looking that up, they've really been like they could have been in the Super Bowl these past couple of years.
Hmm.
I'm sure everybody remembers the blown call, maybe the worst no call in a playoff game ever or in any game ever against the Rams
Yeah.
a couple of years back.
Hmm.
The year before that, they had the Minneapolis Miracle with
Oh my
5
God,
seconds
yeah, with
left.
Diggs.
That's
That
how
was
they got
amazing.
eliminated from the playoffs. Yeah, and then last year there was another controversial play with Kyle Rudolph pushing off a Saints
Hmm.
player in the end zone. So they've
Right.
had some bad luck in the playoffs recently. They're still have that experience, like we've said.
Right. So I found the Saints game. They won in overtime by 3.
Right.
And I believe this was Nick Foles was starting this game.
Which
So
I think Trubisky's better than Foles. So I
yeah,
think they really do have a shot.
yeah, Breeze only threw, I guess not only, but he threw 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, 280 yards, 31 for 41. Um, yeah, so it's a but Kamara is so much better than he
Yeah.
was then. Because you see that a
Yeah.
lot with players improving throughout the season. Some players don't start off hot and then they just have an insane last, I guess, half of the season. So it really will come down, I think, to Kamara and Bears defense.
For sure, it definitely will. So we are kind of all thinking the same for the AFC games, all except for Baltimore, Tennessee, and then a little bit different on the Tampa, Washington
Mhm.
game and the Chicago, New Orleans. So we're thinking a little bit different here. You could also, I mean, if people want to watch, they got that Nickelodeon broadcast of the
Yeah.
Bears and Saints game this weekend too. I just kind of want to see how foolish it looks, but
Yeah.
it's super interesting to see. I can't wait for it. That's this weekend. Like I said, a wild, wild week in sports. That is probably going to cap it off though for us tonight. I know we're excited, Jaclyn. Next week we're going to have Carl Banks on the
Hmm.
podcast. So
Giants
that,
legend.
yeah, Giants legend, two-time Super Bowl champion. Um, we can kind of again digest all of this madness. Maybe Doug Peterson will be fired. Hopefully, Doug Peterson will be
Hopefully.
fired by then.
Kicked
I
out
know
the
we keep
NFL.
calling for this guy's job, and that's terrible. But
Yeah, I
if
know.
you
I
think
know.
about what happened, he deserves to lose his job.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure, for sure.
but yeah, we're excited for Carl Banks next week. We got a few other interviews down the road, but a lot going on. I'm super excited for this wild card weekend. We did this last week. Super Bowl picks. Let's end the show again. Are you changing your Super Bowl pick? I think you said last week Chiefs and Packers, and then you said the Bills now
Hmm.
have a shot.
You know,
Are you? You want to
yeah.
change it? I'm still Bills Packers. I still Bills Packers.
Ah, what I want Bills Packers, so that's why I did pick the Bills. I'm not betting money on them as of right now, at least. But I actually picked in this pool for Bills winning it. I think just because I really want them to win,
Yeah,
because we talked about it last week. They are Toronto's team. They are Canada's team when you think about NFL. I think it'd just be really cool to see Buffalo win. I know you want Buffalo to win because of your dad's a big Bills fan.
Yep.
Um, I think I do want to see Bills, but I also do want to see Packers because I really like Aaron Rodgers. So if it's Chiefs Packers, I'm going Packers. But if my pick, so right now my pick, I'm gonna say Bills Packers. It's what I want to see, and I want to see Bills win. Josh Allen MVP of the Super Bowl.
I agree. I agree. That's what I want to see. I don't know if it'll
Yeah,
happen,
I
but
don't
that's what I
know
want to see.
either.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Just because I do think Green Bay might get the Super Bowl this year. Aaron Rodgers
Mhm.
might get his second ring. He
Which I'll be
definitely
very
deserves
happy about though, because I am a
it. Of
big
course.
Rodgers fan. And I think it would be nice for him to get his second ring.
Of course. Of course. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for us tonight. I thought that was a pretty good episode, Jaclyn. Team
So much to
Canada.
talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, Team Canada, they're kicking off, or the puck drop is in about an hour from now. So we're wishing Canada well, go Canada,
Mhm.
against the States in the gold medal game. We're gonna be back next week. Like I said, Carl Banks joining us next week on the podcast. We'll recap all of the wild card games, get you set for the divisional round, and talk to Carl Banks a little bit about the Giants and maybe some of his, of course, for sure, some of his memories from playing in the NFL. So
Awesome.
thank you for joining us on Hawks Huddle here, listening on YouTube. We'll be back on Radio Laurier next week, but thanks for watching and listening on YouTube, and we'll see you next week.